This is a very interesting comment that was made on my post about Jesus does not equal Christianity. And I make some mistakes in there. I kind of go really fast through nuanced history. So forgive some of my errors. My point was is that Christianity as a religion was created out of the words of Jesus by, in my opinion, evil people. And that was the intention. Now, has good come from it and out of it? Yes, because the reason why is because the true followers of Jesus are constantly trying to bring the religion back to what it's supposed to be. And that has been happening for almost 2,000 years. And so, but no shame to this person who made this comment. But Jesus is not in the Old Testament. The promise of a Messiah is. And Jesus, in a sense, is that promise because he shows us the way back to God. But he's not the only one. He was specifically the one, the bearer of truth to the Jews. Jesus did not preach to the Gentiles. He did not teach to the Gentiles. He did not really talk to the Gentiles. Jesus's primary audience were the modern day religious people of the time who practiced the law of the Torah and whatever books were out at that time. And it isn't even the full books in the Old Testament. I don't know what they are. Please, someone leave a comment about what actual scriptures Jesus was teaching from and to people who knew them. In that sense, we call those people Jewish, but I'm not even sure they were called that. They were the religious people of the time. It's not there. It's not there. You, unfortunately, have been brainwashed through hundreds of years of this process. Like I said, thousands of years of this process of this false message. Yeah, the Messiah, he led the Jews to knowledge of salvation. And salvation, let me reframe that, not to salvation. He shared a message leading people back to God, to a personal relationship with God, not one through temple worship, not one through false sacrifices, not one through temple worship. Just read about ancient temple worship and you can see why Jesus was like, yeah, no, that's not it. That's not it. God is it. And how do you find God? You look within. Because where did Jesus say you and I are one? We look within, and that's where we find God. Jesus told us to look within ourselves and find God. But this message was completely manipulated by people. Maybe even starting with Paul, Mylanta, St. Paul. Yes. Even some of his words manipulate what Jesus said and were put into the canon that eventually came out to the one that we have now of 66 books total, including Old Testament and New Testament. That is not what he was that's not what Jesus was preaching from. Jesus never met Paul. Paul had a vision. How many people do we know have vision, and why do we just trust people with visions? Not always a good thing. That being said, I'm sorry to all of those who do believe Jesus in the sense of was in the Old Testament. Not in the way you think he was, buddy. I'm sorry. I highly recommend with new eyes reading Jesus's words and then reading everything else and out of the context of Jesus's words alone, no one else's.